Hi students, so let us start optimization tutorial 15b. Today I am going to discuss the Polak-Ribiere method, one more conjugate gradient method. I am Dr. Ganguly. Now this particular method is actually a conjugate gradient method and the formula is given as follows. So here what happens is that the search direction is taken as the negative of the gradient vector. Remember we are using C for the gradient vector plus beta k dk minus 1, and beta k is now defined in this form here. So essentially you have ck minus 1 transpose into ck, and then here you have ck minus 1 transpose into ck minus 1. So this method is one more method beside the Fletcher-Reeves and the Hestenes-Stiefel we have talked about before. So today we are going to discuss this method in terms of Python program and then compare it with the remaining two methods, that is Fletcher-Reeves and Hestenes-Stiefel, and also the classical steepest descent method. Now you can take a look at lecture 15 on conjugate gradient method about these different formulas, and also take a look at lecture 17 and so on for the derivation of some of these formulas. So I have done that for quadratic functions. That's how these formulas are derived. They are essentially derived for a quadratic function and then they are used for generic functions out there, because what happens is that most nonlinear functions are basically quadratic in a local sense. Let us take a look at this method more carefully. So we have the general formula for search, direct search, and that is xk plus 1 equals xk plus alpha k dk. Alpha k is the step size. This is obtained using one-dimensional search, and dk is the search direction, which is given as follows for the Polak-Ribiere method. Now when we are at k is 0, we have to use the gradient descent search direction, because at this point we do not have the prior history. We do not have access to point k minus 1. But once we have completed this point, we can use this formula here. So that's how we are going to implement this particular program. Let's start with the first basic question here, which asks us to write a Python program for the Polak-Ribiere method, and we have to use one-dimensional search, and we have to use the function given here with this starting point, which is 1 0. Now the function is x1 square plus 2x2 square plus e to the power minus x1 minus x2, which we have been using in this course. Now you have the Python function which gives me back the function. We have the Python function for the gradient vector which gives me back the gradient vector, and we have defined the function here, the gradient here. So essentially you code it here. Of course remember that in Python your vectors start from 0, so that's the subscript here, whereas here you are using 1 and 2 for x1 and x2. Here you are using x0 and x1. Now beside this we have one more function which we are going to use for the 1D step search, and this function essentially returns the function value at x plus alpha d. So what happens is that once you have calculated x d from the search direction, then you feed in various values of alpha and then you get this particular function. So that's what is going to happen inside the equal interval search code. So this function f1d is going to be called from inside the 1D search code. Let us look at the main program here. The main program is as follows. You import numpy as np. We need numpy for all the different function calculations and the exponential functions and so on, also for the vectors, and we use the starting design as 1 0. We define a tolerance, that's a small number till which we converge, and then we have a max value which we use for the for loops, and we break out of the for loops when we are done with the tolerance level. And we are going to define this function named Polak that's going to take in x0, the starting point, the small number for convergence, the max value for the for loop, and then it's going to return to me the optimal point x star 2 and the number of iterations it took to converge, which is given by k2 here. Then I'm going to print out these particular values, and I put a \n here to create new line. Let us look at the Polak-Ribiere function. So this function essentially has the form that you start with x is x0, you set beta is 0, and then you have the for loop here on top of max, which is the large number I have sent in. Now, of course, you take the gradient vector, you put it in C, and then when you have I equal 0, you do d is minus c, that's the steepest descent direction. But when I has become greater than 0, you essentially go through this part of the code. Now, in this part of the code, you have to calculate beta. Beta is defined as follows here. So we have this part which is ck minus 1. So this I call c new is c minus c old, and then I can get these values here in the numerator and the denominator. So in the numerator, you are seeing that I am going to have a dot product of C new and C, and in the denominator, I have the dot product of C old and C old. Now I put d is minus c plus beta into d old, that is this formula here. Now I am going to get alpha from the 1D search, and then I'm printing out the step size alpha, the beta value which we calculated for this method, and the value of the design vector x, and I calculate the next value of x as x is x plus alpha d, which is essentially this equation in math written in programming form. Now, how do I get this d old and c old value? I essentially store the current d and c here as d old and c old, and these correspond to essentially the k minus 1th point, and the current c and d are going to correspond to the kth point here. And then what I do is that I try to invoke this logic for convergence, that is, if the norm of the gradient vector is less than the tolerance value which I have sent in, the small number, then I break out of this for loop and I return x and I. Now I have the 1D search here. I need to use the 1D search. So once I have got the tolerance and max value coming in, I got a value of d and x. Then I essentially start with alpha is 0 here, a is 0. And I have this for loop here. What I keep doing is that I start with delta is 0.05. I keep dividing delta by 10 until I converge. And so what happens here is that I move on this q here, and I essentially bracket the function within alpha L, alpha U. So this is the lower bound on alpha, the midpoint of alpha, and the upper bound of alpha. And what happens is that when I reach the point where the function is decreasing and then suddenly started increasing, that's the point where I bracket the minimum, and that particular point is obtained by this if condition here. Now take a look at optimization tutorial 7 for more details about this method. And once I have obtained that bracket, I can get a star as the mean value of the lower and upper bound. I can get I as AU minus AL, and I can then give the new value of A or alpha as the lower bound, and of course I further divide the interval I am using. So I am using here delta by 10. Now I keep doing all this till essentially I converge. So what that will happen when I becomes less than tolerance. Remember, I have given a pretty low tolerance of 0.40 and 1. So once I have that tolerance, I get out of this particular function and I return a star, which is actually the alpha value at the optimal point, the best possible step size. So when I run this code with the Polak-Ribiere method, I get convergence extremely fast. So you can see when I start with 1, 0, within 2 shots I have converged. So this is extremely good, and of course we know the actual solution is given here. That's in our optimization tutorial 3, obtained by setting the gradient vector to 0 and solving those equations. So I'm getting this very quickly. Of course, one of the advantages of having code is that I can now go back and check with the different methods I have created. So remember, in the previous lectures and tutorials, we have looked at different methods. So let us now compare this Polak-Ribiere method with gradient descent with Hestenes-Stiefel and Fletcher-Reeves. Remember, Hestenes-Stiefel and Fletcher-Reeves are two more conjugate gradient method, and find out how many rounds of iterations are required to converge on the same function given here. But I'm going to start from a slightly distant point, 5 minus 5, to bring out the advantages of the conjugate gradient method relative to the steepest descent method. So that's the code here, and essentially I'm starting from 5 and negative 5, And what I'm doing is I am giving function calls to the steepest function, to the Fletcher function, to the Polak function, and the Hestenes function. And for each of these functions, I am returning the optimal point, which is given by these x star 1, x star 2, x star 3. And I am also giving the values of k, which is the number of rounds it took to converge. Let us just recapitulate the steepest descent function. That's very easy. That essentially just sets d is minus c. So that's the function here. And again, you call the 1D search and you basically keep doing it till you converge. For Fletcher-Reeves, you have the simple formula here. The first round, you of course use steepest descent, but after that, you are using the Fletcher-Reeves formula given by these equations in red. And of course, you can see here that I need to calculate this beta value, which is simply the dot product of C and C divided by the dot product of C old and C old. And then I update the value of D, which is the search direction. I call the one-dimensional search, and then I see if I have converged here. For Polak-Ribiere, the only change is in this beta value here. So the beta value now corresponds to this formula which was proposed by Polak and Ribiere. So you can see here that formula is given here. For the Hestenes-Stiefel, we have a expression here slightly more complex, and in this case what we have done is we had defined this C new here as C minus C old, and then we were able to take the dot product of C new into C and divide it by the dot product of C new into D old. So that essentially calculated beta here, and I was able to get the value of D, and then I was able to get the value of X from these different formulas. Let us now run this program and see what happens. So essentially we start with 5 minus 5, and you can see gradient descent of course takes long time. So it takes 12 shots to converge. Fletcher-Reeves converges in 5 rounds. Polak-Ribiere takes 3 and Hestenes-Stiefel takes 3. So at least for the function here, these two methods, the methods which are often not so much covered in conjugate gradient methods, are actually doing better. And at least if you look at the literature, that is often the case that these two methods proposed by Polak-Ribiere and Hestenes-Stiefel will often come out better. Interestingly, for this particular problem, the minimum point obtained by these two conjugate gradient methods is exactly same. This is slightly different for the first function, first x component here, but the second component is same. So very interesting results here. So this is the output again I have given you here. So that's again the same output. And now let us look at some of the historical literature. So again, if we look at the primary literature, that's when these people propounded these methods. Fletcher-Reeves propounded in this particular journal, the Computer Journal, in this paper in 1964. Polak-Ribiere published this in 1969. So this is in a French journal, as you can see here. This looks French to me. And then of course you have the steepest descent method propounded by Cauchy in 1847. So of course that method is extremely classical, but of course you do require it at the first shot to start off these conjugate gradient methods. I'll leave you with some homework problems. So try to write a Python code and compare all the different methods out there for this three-dimensional function. So what I have done is I've taken the function we are using and I've expanded it with the design vector x3, or rather the design variable x3. So now I have a design vector which has 3 dimensions. And let us start from the point 4 minus 3 minus 2 and then write a code to essentially calculate this problem. So you can at the end of this exercise figure out how much time or how many rounds of the code does it take to converge for gradient descent, for Hestenes-Stiefel, for Polak-Ribiere, and for Fletcher-Reeves. And then you can write it in the comment section of this particular video. Now, you know, some of these exercises are useful for you because if you are planning to go for some job out there, if you have written Python code here, you can say that you have essentially been building up this whole thing towards a project. And that's what we are going to do toward the later parts of this class, is that we are going to generalize this function and then we are going to say, why not try to write code to compare all the different methods which we have used. So again, you have seen that I have used the function in 2 dimensions, I have used the function in 3 dimensions here, or at least I have asked you to do it. So of course, think about how to do this for a problem with n dimensions. So that's going to exercise you more on Python. Conceptually, of course, it's not very difficult, but the Python implementation is going to be somewhat more complicated. So let us finally review what we learned today. So in the tutorial 15b, we looked at one more conjugate gradient method, the Polak-Ribiere method. Now, like I have mentioned to you a few times, conjugate gradient methods are like the workhorse for unconstrained optimization problems. And many problems you have a very large number of design variables. So it could be 1000 design variable, it could be even more, 10,000 and so on. And in those kind of nonlinear optimization problem, nonlinear function minimization problem, you actually like to use conjugate gradient methods because these are very efficient. They are low storage methods. They do not require that you actually carry a matrix with you. Remember that some of the Newton methods which we are going to discuss later, or even if you look at methods like BFGS or DFP methods, the quasi-Newton methods, you have to carry that particular Hessian matrix or a matrix which is similar to the Hessian matrix with you while you are going through the numerical process. But in conjugate gradient method, you can do the entire thing using just vectors. So that's a very important advantage of conjugate gradient method from the computational perspective. You do not have to deal with matrices, you only deal with vectors. So again, just to go through this method again, you have the general method xk plus 1 is xk plus alpha k dk, and you have the conjugate gradient formula dk is minus ck plus beta k dk minus 1. So this is the delta variation on this search direction, and we have the Polak-Ribiere method here. Now I should mention before I close that there may be some instances where beta k may be negative, and in that case what is done for this method is that you can take beta k is max 0 or beta k. So essentially what would then happen is that in this particular iteration you are reverting back to the steepest descent method. So that's something which you can do, and so it is going to be very beneficial for you. So take a look at optimization lecture 15 for conjugate gradient method, and I think in optimization lecture 17 and 18 I have looked at how I derive these particular formulas. So the derivation is not given in most textbooks. In optimization, it's often given on textbook which deal with mathematical programming or nonlinear programming. So we have covered this in our lecture, so take a look at that. That's theoretical, but it's important to know because you will figure out why some of these methods should be used and why some should not be used. For example, you will find that Fletcher-Reeves actually has more assumptions in terms of line search criteria than Polak-Ribiere or Hestenes-Stiefel. So Hestenes-Stiefel, Polak-Ribiere may be better in conditions where you are having more of an approximate line search.